So do you believe that a lot of times those moves are politically motivated so that it looks like the county commission is taxing the people
I believe that,
and not the state legislature?
Many times those moves are politically motivated.
So appearing to the constituents as to who is the person taking the money.
Look, we're tax cutters. But then it goes down to the locals. Either we raise taxes to try to cover the loss, or we just simply don't provide the service.
Have you raised these sort of objections to specific state legislators, and if so, what's their response been?
Yeah, we've raised those issues, and you know, and I have to be careful with what I say in this respect, that our guys down here, they listen to us, and I think that they understand that where government really meets, where the rubber really meets the road, is here at the county level, and they're sensitive to that. And we've had good cooperation. We've had good cooperation with our guys, but where we run into problems are representatives from highly urbanized northern areas in our state. Salt Lake County, for example, has far more representatives in the House than Washington County does, and it's pretty tough to deal with that kind of imbalance. Even though it's proportionate on population, still those interests are far different. It becomes very challenging, and the system, you know, is full of flaws, but for the most part it works out okay. But there are just those times it becomes very frustrating.
Do you have any evidence, or have you heard of instances in the past where these southern legislators that you've talked about, who've, by your words, cooperated with you in the past, do you have any evidence that they have actually taken those concerns to the legislature generally, and that they've actually gone up there and advocated for you? Have you seen that happen?
Oh yeah, we've seen our representatives and you know, our senators take up a cause that would be beneficial to us in the more rural areas, and run into issues and difficulties and resistance from the more urban areas. And typically, what will happen is it will be a multi-year effort. Our guys will in some cases make headway, and one of the things that's always a problem. It has been the 10 years I've been here in the commission, and it still has not been very well handled, in my opinion, not solved, and that's the jail. The jail is the biggest single user of county tax revenue there is. I mean, it will consume about 60% of all tax revenue is to operate that jail.
Is that over in Purgatory? Is that the one you're talking about? Okay.
And what we've tried to do is work with the state on state contract inmates. That does a couple things. It helps us fund our jail bond. Also, there's another classification of inmate. It's called reimbursement inmates. These are inmates that have committed a state violation and been sentenced by state courts instead of going in directly into the point of the mountain or into Gunnison, a state facility. The judge then chooses to assign them as a condition of probation to the county jail, and the county jail then supposedly has an arrangement with the state that the state pays a portion of that cost. Each year that revenue has been reduced as more and more of that burden falls upon the locals. And most of the time those inmates that come here on reimbursement are not Washington County residents. They're from somewhere else. The philosophy and part of some of the legislators is, well, they're your people anyway, but usually they're not. And yet it never quite gets funded. And this year, for a while in the legislature, they actually zeroed it out. We had zero funding for reimbursement inmates.
And so every bit of the funding for those out-of-county inmates comes from the county coffers?
Yes. And it makes it very, very, very difficult to handle it financially. And that's an issue that we've debated with the legislature, that our guys have tried to handle for us. They've met resistance, for instance, in with Salt Lake County's some of their representatives, and it never quite gets handled.
Why do those northern representatives feel that it's our duty to pay them?
Because of the mindset that they are local residents, and you have the responsibility to take care of your local people. That is probably the case more often up in the densely populated parts of the state, such as Salt Lake County or Utah County, than it is here in the more rural areas, where we have people that come in and back and forth up and down the interstate, you know, committing crimes in our area that are arrested. And you know, as a count, we can show that a large share of these people that we have incarcerated in our jail are not Washington County residents, where the reverse is probably true up north in the more densely populated areas.
On to another topic now. The County Commission seems to be a lightning rod in the popular sentiment for things that some of the agencies of the state do, such as the Water Conservancy District. Do you feel that sometimes you have to answer for the things they do?
Well, you know, a lot of what goes on, a lot of entities are called, you know, to use your example, the Washington County Water Conservancy District. That would sound very much like it's part of Washington County government, and it's not. They have their own independent board. They have their own independent budget. They do their own independent billing. We are the collecting entity for them, and that's another thing I get reason it makes it look like that we are, they're part of us, and they're not. The level of involvement the county government has with the Water Conservancy District is that we appoint their board members. We do appoint their board, but beyond that, they operate independently from us.
Who has the powers of removal for people on those boards?
They're the term of office. They're 4-year staggered terms, 4 years each. We've had some turnover. It's always been because of you know, something going on in their lives that they have to leave the area over, and we've had, I guess, maybe one that's left because of health reasons or something of that nature. But other than that, they've all fulfilled their terms, and at the end of the term, they either apply for reappointment or not, and then we consider it at that point.
I suppose the elephant in the room in this sort of a conversation would be Mr. Ron Thompson. How long has he been in as are you aware of how long he's been in as the director? Well,
Ron has been in there a good long time. It's in excess of 20 years. I don't know exactly how many years, but I remember when the big flood occurred, when Quail Creek, you know, dike, or the dam broke out there, and that was 1988, so he was there then.
How often do you, even though you may not be completely in charge of the Water Conservancy District, how often do you work with them and cooperate
We have
with
a good relationship with them. We meet with them quite frequently. We're in contact with them. They know that they have a responsibility to the citizens in some respect through the commission. The commission, you know, could put all commissioners on there if we chose to, and control that board. I mean, that's feasible. I mean, that'd be legal. But we feel like that it's more important to have representation from across the county, people that understand water, people that have different needs for water, such as cattlemen or ranchers or farmers, or, you know, folks that live in the cities and things like that, different views of the way water ought to be used. So, you know, we like that broader representation and sensitivity to water needs.
Well, Commissioner Eardley, thank you so much for meeting with us today. We realize your time is precious, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah. And thank you all for watching Southern Utah Interview, and have a great day.